It's that timeless pursuit of when art merges with the artist, where we put ourselves out there, find that moment of motivation, and ride the momentum, and then love the very art we create. These are all deeply linked to the soul of who we are. Some say you might be able to measure that, but perhaps it is a blind pursuit. Yes, hello everybody. Welcome back to 21 Grams. I am your host, Joe Compton, and look, I've got the awesome AJ Mullican right here.
Back
Hi,
again.
friend. How you doing?
Doing all right. You can't get rid of me, can you?
I wouldn't try. This is probably the third or fourth time you've done this particular show. I think.
At least,
Yeah.
yeah. I have been on here a few times.
Yeah. So it made me scramble to think about what we hadn't talked about before. But I do think I have a good sense of where we're going to go tonight. So I'm excited for that. But before we do all of that, for our new viewers and people out there who don't know who you are, I wouldn't know any of them probably, but there are probably some people out there who are coming in here for the first time. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, to introduce yourself to everybody for me.
All right. I'm AJ. I write romance primarily, contemporary romance, paranormal romance, sci-fi romance, fantasy romance, just about anything but historical because facts. And I also write just about any kind of couple you can imagine. Take an M and an F or a few M's and a few F's, smash them all together, and something's happening.
That's awesome. Anita's here. Hello, Anita. Meredith is here. Hello, Meredith. Nice to see you both. Yeah, it's very fascinating. You've carved out this nice little corner for yourself, and we've talked about that aspect of it before. We've talked about how your marketing genius and everything that you've come up with to kind of put yourself out there. I'm curious, and this is kind of where I want the conversation to go. Take me back to that beginning stages of this process for you before you kind of found your groove and you were kind of exploring what you wanted to do and how you wanted to do it. Did you always have the ambition that you had to the direction you were going? Was that the goal? Was that the aim? Or was it something that kind of you fell into and it just fit?
It evolved over time. My first novel that I put out was a paranormal suspense, supernatural thriller kind of book. It was a psychosexual thriller, so there's a lot of graphic stuff in it still, but it was like graphic gory, not graphic like sweet. It was pretty intense. My next things I put out were technically kind of sci-fi romance, but not really romance. I never finished the series, so there never was the happily ever after. Not even necessarily happily for now. There was kind of like a oh shit for now at the end of some of them. But the more I wrote, the more romance worked into what I wrote, and I realized that's actually what I enjoyed writing was the romance scenes, the love scenes, the connections between the people. And I was like, I'm really enjoying this part of it. I want to focus on this. And my favorite things to read are paranormal romances, and occasionally contemporary. I write it more than I read it, but I enjoy reading about romance, and all that lovey stuff. I didn't have a lot of that lovey stuff, in relationships growing up, and even in my early adulthood. So I like to play make believe and kind of like take the little Barbie dolls and smush them together.
It doesn't really matter which anatomically incorrect Barbie doll you're picking at the time, right? You just pick them up and
just throw them all in the ring.
Hello, Sean. Nice to see you. Yeah, it's fascinating to me because I think we all have. I don't know if vision is the right term, but we all have some dream or some aspect of our focus, when we start this process to become creatives and artists that we feel like is the direction we're going, and it never ever really turns out that way. It kind of pivots and changes. Were you kind of surprised by the pivot and change when it happened, or were you kind of prepared for it?
A little bit of both. I mean, it was kind of since I was writing steamy stuff in the first book anyway, steamy and gory, yes, but still steamy.
Yeah.
And then steamy stuff in the next in the sci-fi series. I was like, I might as well just go all out and just, make these books romances.
Mm,
Um, it kind of evolved from what I was writing to what I ended up writing. Um, and it's kind of gotten not out of hand, but it's kind of gotten a little interesting. Like you can see behind my head, like I got a bunch of books up there. These are all
yeah, yeah.
stuff I've
Well, here
written.
I was gonna save this for later, but we can put this up there just to show everybody the aspect of
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Some of those are taken down now because they don't fit with what I'm writing now. But yeah, that's a few things that I've written.
Well, the two in the middle are the sci-fi ones you're referring to, right? The abnormal and
Right.
escaping
Yeah.
light.
The abnormal, escaping light, fight the light, witching hour, gifts divided. Those are all the sci-fi series. The abnormal
Mm,
verse. Queen of the Void is a co-write that I'm working on with a friend. We don't know yet if it's going to be romance or not. We're just having fun with that one. We're kind of flying by the seat of our pants on that, taking turns with the chapter and seeing where it goes. And then
nice.
Whispers of Death on the bottom middle there is the original. It's not the original cover. That was terrible, but it's the original. The original cover I hand painted, scanned onto a scanner, and then just played with in Photoshop until it looked something that I thought was cool. It was not cool. It was so not cool. Just a few
I
books,
uh
Meredith. Yeah.
I I have to say though, because I've known you for a while now, and I've seen the iterations of all the covers and everything like
Mhm.
that. I have to say the pack ones, which aren't here actually, are they? They're not here, are
They are in a way, Bargain Struck and Hell on Earth in the top left are
they? Oh yeah, yeah.
actually those trilogies together in omnibus versions.
Oh, nice.
So I could fit more books on the graphic.
Yeah. So the top left of our screen, probably top right of people's screen who are watching, the bargain struck in Hell on Earth. Those were that series. I think that's the first time we talked on this show was
Mhm.
during the
Pack
pack
to pack,
series.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, but I have to say the evolution of covers over time for you has evolved as well, and it's kind of
Mhm.
it's very nice. Um, where when was that shift for you? Was that something you were always thinking about? Or were you kind of just I don't know. I mean, it seems like you reinvent yourself quite a bit or rebrand in a lot
It's
of respects.
it's a little bit of ADD, a little bit of trying to keep with the market and pivot with things that happen. One thing I don't do, that has been huge in the market, aside from Bargain Struck and Hell and Earth omnibus versions, I don't do object covers generally
Mm,
because I don't get inspired by object covers. I have to
hmm
see people and get a vibe from the cover. And when I see an object cover, to me, so many of them look almost interchangeable. And
mm,
I'm not trying to diss anyone's cover. They're pretty, but I can't get a vibe of what's happening or what might happen in the book from the cover.
right.
And so as a creator, it's like, well, if I can't get a vibe off of it, what am I going to do with it? I don't know what
Yeah.
the story is here. I like to have a cover and get the story. I tend to write from the cover to the end. I get the
Yeah.
cover, I get inspired, I write the story. Not always. Sometimes I have the story in my head and I find a cover that fits it or get a cover made that fits it, depending, or make my own cover that fits it. Um, and some of the books had several iterations of covers just because I've developed not only as an author, but as a pseudo cover designer, I guess. I mean, some of them
hmm
I've done myself. I'm going to send you one in the chat
Cool.
there, but this one I recently updated, and it's a little more dark than what the previous cover was. So if we can get you can do your magic there, Joe.
The behind the scenes for everybody.
Behind the scenes,
Oh
right,
yeah,
right.
yeah. Oh yeah. See, uh, yeah, and there's nothing to the imagination of this one for sure. Hang on,
Well,
let
I
me go.
mean, like it certainly at least fits the book, you know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, this doesn't. I mean, you look at this and you go, okay, what is this about, right?
Right? I mean, it looks like an asylum, and
Yeah.
obviously things are happening there. Not exactly bright, happy, sunshiny things. Um, and there may be
Yeah,
some clothes coming off, I
yeah.
mean,
And then you have the little bit of magic dust around the edges
yeah,
there
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that reveals
Right?
that there's some magic afoot here.
Right? As if the mage asylum wasn't enough. We had to put a little bit of purple on there. Just
Yeah. I is there something comforting about having a brand for you? Does that help you when you're writing, or do you feel like it hinders you in a lot of respects because there's some expectations now?
I don't know what the expectations are because I don't even know what my own brand is except for romance. I mean, I write
Yeah.
in such a wide range of genres and pairings. I mean, I used to say in the graphic you'd put up that I have not updated on my website yet. I said words that ignite. Well, now I've kind of changed my tagline from that to variety and spice is life because people say, oh, you got to have a pen name for this subgenre and a pen name for this subgenre. I'm like, no, I want them to be my books.
Yeah.
Yes, that is my name on the books. I'm writing them. I'm a little bit of a narcissist in that, little Leo. Got to have my name up there.
Yeah.
But also, I don't feel I should have to be pigeonholed into. I need to make up a name for every little subgenre that I'm writing. I gotta have a contemporary name. I gotta have a reverse harem name. I gotta have a contemporary reverse harem name and a paranormal reverse harem name. And
Yeah, yeah.
what? No,
That's
I
crazy.
just
Yeah.
want to write the books. So my brand, I guess, is like chaos. It's just
But it works. It works
whatever
so well for
whatever
you.
comes to my squirrel brain is what my brand is. So
Have there been moments along this journey or in this ride where you have thought about pivoting and doing something completely off brand for you, change at any point?
I actually do occasionally write non-smutty horror. Um, Amazing, right? Um, I did write a horror novel with Angelique Jordana, who you've had on in the past, not as recently, I don't think, but she's been on here a couple of times.
Mhm.
Chaotic Spice, I like that Chaotic Spice. Um, but she's been on in the past. We're like co-writees. We co-write a book together at least once a year. We started last year with Hunting Woods. This year is going to be Sunshine Rising, which is going to be another nowhere book. This one is be a sapphic, demonic novel. So it's got spice and demons and excitement and stuff. And hey, Rebecca, I haven't seen Becca in a minute on
Yeah. Hello,
here.
Rebecca. Nice to
So
see you. Yeah.
nice to see her in a while. I see her occasionally
She
on
brought up a
on
good
the
point. She brought a good point too about multiple
yeah.
personalities, and then you have all the accounts and the other names too, and then you forget who you were to start with. Yeah.
Right? And it's like you got to set up a different account for each pen name on stupid KDP, and it's like no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no,
And you
no.
have to have websites for all of the different ones, which it's hard
Right?
to
And
keep
and
track
then
of
there's
one
the whole
website.
and then there's the whole thing of so and so writing as so and so.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, what's the point of hiding your pen name if you're
yeah.
gonna just I don't get it. But that's just me. My brand is I guess me, chaotic and squirrely and the cats are starting to beg, but that's okay.
Mhm. I also think for the what you write, I think utilizing your own personal name, I think that's an attractive aspect of of the subject matter in which you write as well, because that is kind of like, hey, she's putting it all out there. She's not afraid to go this direction in this way, and that kind of endears you to the fan base that would be interested in that. I think so. I think
Yeah.
there's some power in that.
It is a little empowering, and especially knowing that when I write and when I post on Facebook, I tried doing the uh, like side profile that was just AJ, but I
Yeah.
write under my real name on Facebook when I'm posting for takeover parties, uh, recommendation requests, just all in general. It's
I mean,
me posting.
to be fair, you just initialized the first part of your name.
I did,
But
yeah.
it's
It's
not.
still me.
Yeah.
It's still me.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying writing, writing as Amy, it's not that much different for people. I don't think people make
No,
this.
no, but then it's me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I generally have, I mean, for the official AJ, like the page and the AJ profile that I forget about half the time, um, it's got the logo on there. But yeah, I mean, it's my face up there. It may be a little photoshopped. I played around with Canva and made a kind of goofy one the other day, but it's my profile picture now. But yeah, like it's just I like it to be me. And
yeah.
yes, yeah. Snap and names.
Yeah, it is. I'm really fascinated by because you are so confident in, and well, I'm saying this with a grain of salt, obviously, because you'll dispute that a little bit, I'm sure, when I say that, but you are so confident, and everybody feels that and sees that when you're part of what we do here, and but you're also so much so outside of this in the reader realm, where the most important aspect of connecting is with the readers for you, because this is a gig that you want to sustain as a professional, right? So,
Mhm.
uh, building that, though, was there a moment that you can look back on or turn to that said, "This is when the pivot happened for you. This is when you knew you were in the pocket, the right space."
Weirdly enough, it came a while after. There are a couple of moments like that. The first moment
Mhm,
like that was when Abnormal got picked up because I did Whispers of Death all on my own. I mean, I
mhm,
had a group of friends that we were in a writing critique group with, and we trade chapters back and forth and give each other suggestions. Um, but from that group of friends was someone who was starting a new publishing company with some other friends of theirs, and they read the first bit of Abnormal, and they were like, "Hey, we're starting up this publishing company. Would you like to submit this story?" And I was blown away. I was like, "No way! Your second book, nobody ever picks you up on your second book like
yeah,
that. That doesn't
yeah,
happen." Um, but also, whenever, and still to this day, and I've been writing for 9 years now, publishing for 9 years now. Still to this day, when someone says something like, "Oh, you wrote XYZ, or you wrote that book, or you wrote that," I'm like, "You know? You've read it?"
yeah.
And it blows me away. I have a KDP dashboard. I check it obsessively. I know people are reading my books. I know it's not the greatest numbers. I'll admit that, but I mean, I know people are reading them, buying them, getting them on KU, whatever. But just whenever someone's like, "Oh, you wrote that book," or a couple months ago, someone was looking for recommendations of books like certain books that they'd read, and one of them they included was Call Me Bunny, which is one of mine. I was like, they want a book like mine. They read mine, they liked it enough, they want to see something else like that. It blew me away. I could not believe it. And I still can't believe it sometimes. That, and I don't think it'll ever stop being surprising for me. Because, it's that kind of, yeah, there's imposter syndrome that comes up every once in a while, and that slams you in the gut, gut punch
Yeah.
that I'm sure every creator has felt at some point or another time. But even with that, when you have someone who's like another author or a really big reader who's really big fans of several big name authors, and they've read your stuff, it's like, wow, maybe I'm not that bad. You know?
It's the worst.
Mhm.
Yeah. Eh, I mean, do you have more imposter syndrome outside of the writing realm than you do inside of it? Like when you're writing, do you have more of that, or is it when you are interacting with people that you have it more?
I think it's more on the times when the KDP is slow, there's not a lot of sales, not a lot of page reads, I'm like, "Okay, I suck." And then there's other times when, like, someone buys a paperback and I'm like, "Oh, yeah," you know? Um, but it could be when I'm writing too, it could be like, "This paragraph is crap." And you look at it till you're kind of nauseated from looking at it, and you're like,
Mhm.
this is horrible. Why did I ever think I could do this?" But, you gotta kinda, like, pick yourself up and just kind of, force yourself through it,
Mhm.
or sometimes you do what I do and you whine to your other writer friends, and they all pat you on the back and say, it's okay, calm down, you'll get over this." Meredith has, I'm sure, had me in her DMs being like, "I suck at this," you know.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't done it in a while, but you and I used to at 3 a.m. get together and
Mhm, mhm.
because we're both up at ungodly hours or never
Yeah,
sleeping.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Sleep, what is that?
I'm curious, are you still doing the thing where you gather random conversations and posting them on your website?
I've got a bunch of screenshots, but I haven't updated the website in a while. I actually was gonna do
Uh,
that here soon because I've got a bunch of them. I have some interesting, screenshots. See if I can send you one because, I'll tell you, I have trained my autocorrect, and it's a little hilarious sometimes. So, let me just
for
find
those
some
who
good
don't,
ones.
for those who haven't been to AJ's site or know what we're talking about, um, there's she does a random thread on her page that's kind of the blogging section of it, and she cuts and pastes random conversations and kind of throws them up there. And there's some of the hilarious things that writers talk about amongst themselves,
Yeah,
or out of context stuff that
yeah.
goes up
Out
there.
of context author chat, yeah. I'll just send you a couple of hilarious, you're laughing. Yeah, I just sent you a couple of hilarious, autocorrect, out of context autocorrects that are some
Nice.
from,
Uh,
yeah. My autocorrect, yeah, my autocorrect is clearly a writer's autocorrect and clearly a smut
yeah,
writer's autocorrect. Yeah,
um,
Meredith has seen it because I've shared it. I'm like, what is this that my phone is saying? Like, autocorrect shouldn't be doing this, and it's suggesting it.
and I cannot confirm nor deny that uh, I might be one of those chats in that on that page. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There may be a chat with Joe in there somewhere. Just saying. AJMullican.com, out of context author chat. I'm just saying there may be a conversation with Joe in there somewhere.
yeah, there might be.
The prize for finding it is laughter.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the kind of stuff though that has led you to, cultivate collaboration too in a lot of respects because you've garnered a lot of same-minded folk that have now wanted to kind of do stuff with you. And I think we kind of touched upon this the last time you were on because I watched a lot of the last chat we had, and we were talking about you were just actually starting your collaboration with Ariel at that point.
Mhm.
Um, and this is what does collaboration do for your ambitions and your thought process? Is that a evolution of where you're at, or is that kind of just an offshoot? How do you view what you're doing in the collaboration aspect?
It depends on what I'm collaborating on. With the collaborations with Ariel, I will admit I kind of weaseled my way into one of them. Because she had seen a cover that I had seen and wanted, and she got it first. And I was like, "Oh, I
Yeah,
wanted that cover so bad." And we were like, we could co-write this.
yeah.
This could still work. And Ariel's a big fan of the Nowhere world, which started with
Uh-huh.
Back to the Back, and she's a huge fan of that world. And I wanted to be able to bring her into that world, let her have her time in that world as one of the creators of the world. And Angelique, she's been a fan of my writing since Whispers of Death and
Yeah.
Abnormal. So I wanted to let her come into Nowhere a little bit too, or into the horror books or wherever we end up. We've co-written a couple of shorts and things like that. Um, and then my other friend that I'm co-writing the sci-fi may or may not be romance story with, um, I, she's a really good friend of mine. She's
Mhm.
written a nonfiction. It's called Dr. Widow. It's about her trying to get her PhD in the process of being widowed and dealing with that. But we both love Star Wars. I mean, I've got the Rebel One T-shirt or sweater on here, and everything. And we both
Mhm.
love Star Wars. We both love sci-fi. We're like, let's collab. Let's write something together. You can get working on some sci-fi stuff, and she's an amazing. Like when I get a chapter from her, I'm always blown away. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was coming. That's so exciting. And I'm like, oh wait, what do I got to do now? So, but it's slow going because we both have really busy lives. She's got kids and job and everything, and I've got job and writing and my kids. Ah, Mom, I want cheese.
It happens, so that's life, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, so I'm wondering where you are right now, how you feel about where you are right now. Are you pretty comfortable in that space? Are you looking to evolve a little bit more, or do you feel like you still haven't touched enough of this surface that you want to touch that you feel like it's going to happen and you're going to
I
explore?
think it's hilarious you're talking about touching with a romance writer. Um,
I know
but
Rebecca's going to kill me in the chat, but
but I want to touch more on which is gay male romance. I want to touch
Mhm.
more on the sapphic romance. I want to touch more on contemporary. I want to expand more than just the PNR because most of my stuff is paranormal romance.
Right.
Well, it's all well and good, but I want to write other stuff too. So it's just kind of trying to figure out what I want to weave in and where to put it. I've got covers out the wazoo. Don't tell my husband. Um, that I've got for different projects, and it's just a matter of getting the time to do them all because I'm not the
Yeah.
fastest writer. I mean, I can do a novella in like a few weeks to a month, maybe. A novel takes me longer depending on how much time I dedicate to it, and we've talked about this before. That sometimes I tend to kind of like tandem write, like I'll write a
Yeah.
little bit in one project, a little bit in another project, and back and forth, so I don't get like not necessarily bored, but I don't get too stuck on one
Yeah.
thing. So I can
And
get
then you and
on
then
multiple things.
you got your mom simultaneously editing while you're doing another
Right,
project.
right. And then I got her editing for Meredith too because I'm nice like that, I guess.
Feed
Outsourcing my
mom some
mom.
business, huh?
Right, right. Well, I mean, she won't let me pay her, so I gotta do something.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love all that. The romance space is such your poor mom. You're like always releasing a book. Yeah, I agree, Meredith. I was gonna say that's kind of bullshit, right? No, it, the romance space is so fascinating right now because I think there is a turn that happened probably about 2 years ago, and it expanded beyond the traditional romance aspect, and that's actually probably right where um, if anybody was looking for kind of what's going to come back into fashion, that might be the thing that comes back eventually because it's gone so far away from.
Good
Maybe
old
not.
plain MF
Yeah,
Hallmark romance, and I've written
yeah,
that too. So
yeah. I mean, and the movies, it's Hallmark movies are very popular, and that's kind of where it's
Mhm.
evolved to a little bit, and now it's taken over
Mhm.
that space a little bit. But I, you know, exploring all of the romance aspect of it, are you finding crossover fans, or are you exploring one region and that's picking up fans here and then you're kind of introducing them to the other stuff you're doing, or is there a crossover? Do you feel like the romance genre itself is kind of blended together, or do you feel like there's still sectionality and kind of separatism in which area you're talking about in romance?
I think it depends on the reader base. Some readers are mood readers. Like
Hmm.
today, I wanted to read a contemporary male-female romance, straightforward, nothing dark, something fluffy. But tomorrow, I want dark and dirty. Give me your nastiest, dirtiest, filthiest, whatever you can write. You know, I don't care what's in it. I want it all. I have no triggers today. And then, the next day they want something light but paranormal,
Hmm.
you know. And then there's others who just read across the board, who are so voracious that they will just pick up anything. And the reader groups on Facebook, which is my main platform that I'm on, because Discord, I just ugh. But anyway, uh,
I hear
and
you.
the reader group,
I'm
I
trying to figure
try,
that.
but it's just but the reader groups on Facebook, someone will come in and say, I want uh 20,000 word novella that's got two men and a woman, but the men don't interact, and it's paranormal, but also I want a little bit of freakiness in the peen area. So if you
Mm.
could work that in, and people will come up with like 50 recommendations in like 20 minutes that are this
Wow.
specific little. They've narrowed down what they want to like the nano
Yeah.
whatever, and
Interesting.
it's just like that. Like there's just tons of recommendations, and it's like, how can you have that many people like with writing this exact specific niche thing, but you apparently do, or they see an ad for something and they say, I want 50 books that are exactly like this ad that I saw. And so you have to kind of just go with it, and so I see the recommendations for something that's similar to what I've written. You request for something that's similar to what I've written, and I hop in there. I say, if a self recommendation is okay, I've got X, Y, and Z here. Try it out. Try to gain readers that way. I'm bugging the cats now because they're bugging me.
And yeah, so being a variety is important in that respect, I would assume then.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, if you prefer to write in a niche genre or a specific genre and keep it there, that's fine too.
Hmm.
I
Sure.
like to kind of spread it around. And again, Rebecca, have fun with that one. But yeah, I like to kind of just spread the love, spread the variety, and make it whatever I want it to be this day of the week. You know,
And you found the response to be pretty well received in that respect, I would assume.
it seems like it. I mean, there's some people who have only read my contemporary or one or two of my contemporaries. My contemporaries are all a little different.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's people who have read my paranormal stuff, the nowhere books, and be like, oh, you got another book coming out, and it's this. I'll give it a try. And I'm starting to break into audio, but it's a little tough, because you got, at least the way, because I can't afford to hire a narrator that's like, the liquid sex voice going on there.
Yeah, yeah.
I have to, audition on ACX, go through that process, because that's the way I can afford it. Um, but I've got two books that are on audio now. I'm hoping to get more books in audio, but I'm just unsure how to go about it, because I'm
Mm.
starting to get to where the ones that are left are almost the series where you kind of want the same narrators throughout.
Yeah, sure.
So it gets more
Especially in the
difficult.
nowhere aspect, in the
Yeah.
nowhere universe, you kind of want to keep that pretty same
Yeah.
because that touches
You
all
want
kinds of different corners.
right. You want someone who's done Lena's voice
Yeah.
in dealing with demons and can pick her up again in the next series and in future books where she makes cameos, etc. You want someone who can keep that consistency. And that, negotiating that's going to be tough. So I have to kind of like wrap my brain around how that's going to all work out.
Is that what the fans are demanding right now? Is audiobooks? Is there a big demand for that?
There seems to be, a lot of people, say, "I don't have time to read. I don't have time to
Yeah.
sit with a book with my Kindle because I'm chasing a 3-year-old around the house," or, "I'm cleaning," or, "I'm at work and I get bored, so I listen to audio on the earbud while I'm doing other things," whatever.
All right.
Um,
I'm gonna be a little crass here. I'm gonna be a little. It also frees up your hands, right? So
well, I mean, they do have those little Kindle page turners where you just have a remote in one hand.
Yeah.
Like, they have that, and they have, like, headboard stands. You can,
Yeah.
like,
Well, my
snap your
my
Kindle onto
Kindle
the
actually,
headboard.
my Kindle's flat folds, and you can set it up and stand it up, right?
No,
So,
but this way you're lying back, right? You've got your
right.
Kindle up here, you've got your little remote, and you've got your other hand doing whatever you want. And accessibility is a factor too. Yeah, I mean, if I can't afford to make all my books large print, audiobook is kind of like the next best thing for people who have trouble with regular print. So
Do do p- do the fans talk about? I'm wondering if there is a contingency out there amongst your groups about films that are like your one-handed reading. Bueno. Yeah, I mean, you do get skilled at that, at some point, right? Um,
mhm,
and yet you're always holding something these days. It's just a weird thing about our society right now, right? So, but is there contingency out there that's kind of spreading some of the film aspects? Because I know there is a niche genre, romance erotica. That's not porn. That's not
mhm.
true porn, but
Cash flicks.
right, yeah, that is out there and starting, and even the romance is starting to get a little bit more spicy in the film industry. And I'm
Mhm,
kind of curious, as if you go to any French New Wave film, you'll find all of this spice that existed in the 60s and 70s before any of you ever thought about writing a word.
mhm.
Um, but is there contingency out there? Is there people out there talking about that aspect of it?
I know Ariel is very interested in wanting to get some of her books on Passion Flix or
Mhm.
Netflix. I am not that ambitious maybe yet.
Mhm.
Um, but it's also a very small subsection of, at
Yeah.
least in our puritanical culture where
Mhm.
we're at, we're like, oh no, a nipple, you know?
Yeah, that doesn't have the
Or like,
word porn in it, right? I
right,
mean,
right. Or it doesn't have every man in the audience going, boobies.
yeah, right. Yeah.
So like you kind of, I don't think it's where I'd want my books at right now.
Mhm.
But I mean, Passion Flex, I think, is the one that picked up. Um, oh, what is that one? Brotherhood something. There's one that was picked up at Passion Flex, a big long series that picked up, and
Okay.
I've
I don't
seen
know which
like
one that one is. Yeah.
I've seen stills from the set. I just haven't seen anything. I can't remember what it's called. Brotherhood or something. It's a big, huge one. It's a popular one. I can't remember anything other than Brotherhood right now. I know it is not. I know it's not Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. That is all I know at the moment.
Mhm. Do you think having ambition is a good thing? Do you feel like aiming for a direction is a good thing? Again, sorry, chat. But do you feel
Mhm.
like is that is that part of a professional process? Do you feel like that should be part of it, or do you feel like if you kind of settle in and get comfortable, there's nothing wrong with that?
I think it all depends on what your goals are. And I know
Hmm.
ambition kind of is, in a way, your goals amplified.
Hmm.
Um, Would I like to have a New York Times best-selling series someday? Sure. Or book or anything, would I like to have something explode and win all the accolades and all that? Sure. Would I like to get so big that the big narrators come to me wanting to do my audiobooks? Sure. Um, Missy, get away from the craft room. She has almost figured out the latch on that door. It's a barn door. The other two cats can push it open, so we just latched
That's
it, and now
awesome.
she's figured it out a couple of times, but not enough to know how she figured it out. So anyway, um, yeah, she's trying to get attention. Um, but yeah, it's all depending on where you want to go. If you want to just write the books you like to read and put them out there and let other people read them, fine. Little brat is at it again. Um, if you want to aim for, the pinnacle and aim for Passion Flicks or aim for Netflix or aim for um, uh, Skinemax picking something up, fine, but it's what you want. I mean, I think ambition shouldn't be beyond what you're comfortable with,
Hmm.
if that makes any sense. Like, I
Sure.
don't
Yeah.
know that I'd be comfortable um, pitching something like that. If
Hmm.
I get discovered, like I said, if I get discovered somewhere along the way, great, fabulous, whatever. Um, but am I aiming to get discovered? No, not really. I'm just out there hoping people enjoy reading what I write and hoping to make, at least enough to cover a couple bills.
So where is your ambition at this point? Where do you feel like you're at right now? Do you feel like you're, I mean, there's has there been conversations with you and your family about doing this full time? Is that an ambition for you, or do you feel like you're pretty comfortable where you're at and it's all good?
The ambition to do it full time is there. The practicality right now is not.
Mm,
This
yeah,
brat.
yeah.
Um, I work full time at a full time job.
Yeah,
I write. Oh lordy, she's on the books. At least she's portable.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I write when I can. I put out. Meredith try to put out a decent number of books a year. I've seen people who do more.
Yeah.
But I can't feasibly write full time right now. My husband is currently unemployed. He's looking for a job, but it's a tough market.
Yeah.
Um, and right now we need the house and we need to eat, and we've got three little monsters that need to eat apparently. So we've got to think about that first before I can't be quitting my job to write because I don't have the fan base or the stability in my royalties to anywhere near that to be able to write full time.
Hmm.
Would I love to? Absolutely. Can I? No, not right now.
So is the conversation more output then for you? Are you feeling like you're trying to get to another level of output then, or are you still comfortable in that aspect too?
I need to stabilize enough to where I can at least start putting some ads out there, doing some
Mhm.
real marketing beyond Facebook stuff. Um, but unfortunately, I just am not in the financial situation where I can do that right now. I mean,
Yeah.
Facebook parties where people are having release parties for their books and groups, or where um, there's open promo posts and groups, that is the marketing I can afford right now. So, it's one of those it is what it is kind of situations, and you just have to kind of deal with what you're handed.
Yeah. As Sean says, it's a tough market. It's rough to try and go full time writing. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm,
I mean, there has to be a consistency with that too. I mean,
mhm,
and often, I mean, especially like you were saying, when imposter syndrome hits you the most is when you're not selling anything, and all of a sudden
mhm,
it's a slow time, and you're going, what's going on?" And that's just the way marketplaces work. Sometimes they're slow. They don't have the consistency that you know a full time aspect might have if you're trying to become a full-time writer, right? So, you know, and, all right. So I didn't go over this with you, so forgive the crassness out there for the audience. But we're doing something a little different this year on the show at the end, um, and I'm having you pick 5 numbers between 1 and 50, and then whatever those numbers are, I have a questionnaire that I'm going to ask the number you pick that question and have you answer it. So if you want to think about it for a second and give me 5 numbers between 1 and 50, I'll write them down and we'll go through the questions.
All right. We'll go with 3, 17, 25, 36, and we'll go 45, my age.
I love that you picked one in every subset. The non-10s, the 10s, the 20s, the 30s, and the 40s. That's pretty funny. All right. Let me pull up the questions here real quick. All right. So we'll start with number 3. What do you feel is the most unethical practice in the publishing industry right now?
AI and plagiarism.
Yeah.
That's an easy one.
Yeah, that one, I was like, that's going to be a slam dunk. All right, number 17. Oh, as an author, what did you dislike at first, but you grew into? Is there anything you disliked at first that you grew into? Don't say AI already.
No, I never grew into that. I would say blurbs. Trying to write a blurb. I'm gotten much better at it, but yeah, writing the blurb is like, and a lot of authors hate that. They will pay someone else to write their blurb. They're like, this is what the book's about. Give me something that'll get someone to read it. But I've gotten better and gotten into the vibe of writing a little blurb. Some of them I still need to kind of touch up a bit, but I'm mostly for the most part happy with the blurbs. The only thing is I'm a discovery writer, as we've talked about on the show before and on other shows. So I don't always know what's going to happen in the book. So the blurb sometimes has to be adjusted later on once I've written something completely off script.
Meredith says she asked you to help her write your. All right, so you'll love number 25. How many unpublished or half-written books do you have currently?
Currently, ones that unpublished. Let's see here. Full books, not just short stories.
Yeah, I mean, you can count them any way you want. These are your questions to interpret. I don't care how.
Yeah. I'd say at least a dozen that I can think of right off the top of my head.
See, yeah, your less prolific diatribe is bullshit. That's I have 2, and I haven't published anything in 5 years, so I have 2. All right. And I have one unpublished one. I actually have 3 because I have one unpublished one that is out is ready to be published. It just hasn't been yet, but that's nothing I can do about that. So, okay, I love that you picked this question by accident, but it's really apropos for you. What's the most difficult thing for you about writing the opposite sex?
It's a hard question. I don't know really what's. They're just people.
Nothing. I mean, if that's what you want to say.
Well, I mean, they're just people. I guess the most difficult thing is writing the sensations that happen during the sex, because I don't know what that's like. So I'm guessing here. I don't know.
I think in a lot of ways, passion is passion, though, right? I mean, and not everybody's the same in that respect either, right?
Mhm.
So, you know, uh, is that a thought for you? Do you vary the emotional and the passionate aspects of things from time to time? Do you feel like, or do you feel like, do you ever look at something and go, "Oh, I wrote that. I don't want to be same in that." You know,
You
are
do
you
try
looking
to
for different ways to find to express passion? I guess is what I'm asking.
put some variety in because you don't want someone to open like 3 of your books and say, "This person just copy and pasted all this shit. What the hell is this?" You know? You want them to at least be some variety, which, I don't have the thesaurus website bookmarked, but I certainly can find it easily enough. And there's only so many ways you can say dick and cock, before it gets ridiculous. So, sometimes you end up using the same word like 50 times in the book when you're writing the love scenes throughout. It just depends on how much you're putting into it. If it's just a quick novella, yeah, I might use more generic terminology. If it's a full novel, we're going into like 80,000 words, I might try to find a few more original ways, or, there's nothing original, but original for me ways to put whatever's going on in the scene.
You'll get a chuckle out of this, and this maybe I'll DM this to you so you can put this in the text thing. But I've always like if I always told myself if I was ever going to write like a romantic comedy or a romance or something to that effect, I would do it in an English setting, just for the simple fact that I could call the bits "mommy and daddy buttons" because that's one of the expressions that they use there, and I go, that would be hilarious to put in there.
Oh God. I have rented tentacle sex, and I don't know that I could do that. I don't know that I could do mommy and daddy buttons. I no.
But I mean, that's what they call. That's not. I'm not saying there's mommy and daddy. Like I'm not talking about incest. I'm talking about like that's what they
Oh, I know
call
what you're talking
it.
about. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah. I just don't know that I could do that.
Is it too cheeky for you? Is it
It
too?
might be a little too cheeky for me. Yeah.
I didn't know there was a line for you.
I guess there is. I guess there is.
If it's too cutesy, it's not good enough for AJ Mullican.
Yeah. My husband was listening to an audiobook in the car, and it got to a steamy scene, and it was being read by this like uptight British guy, and oh my God, I died. I was like, what is this? No offense to the Brits, I have some Brit friends, but what is that? It was so sterile. I could not listen to it.
Yeah. It's ever a wonder why Sherlock Holmes love interests are just fleeting, right? All right, no, number 45 is another really good one. Is there a book you can point to that changed your perspective about writing?
Hmm. I have to think on that one. That's actually a thinker. I would say it was a novella that's no longer out, which actually got me the USA Today on the USA Today bestseller list as part of the first all reverse harem anthology to hit the list. I did not know what reverse harem was
Mm.
when when I wrote that story. I had to Google it. I signed up for this anthology not knowing what it was. Googled it. I was like, "Oh, you can add more in here." Well, alrighty then. Let's get to it. And now that more than half my books are for Sarah, probably now.
Yeah,
I
they've
was
been.
like, I
I
didn't know
think
you
you've
could
been
just
on that
add
wheelhouse
more
for a
guys
while.
into the mix. What?
Yeah, I think you've been on that conveyor belt for a while.
I have been there a minute or three. Yes, yes.
Well, that's awesome. I love that you picked something that was going to changed the perspective of your own writing. That's kind of interesting.
Mhm.
Most people would say like Stephen King's writing on writing, but no, but you know, I I want to I want to close this out. Tell us a little bit about the differences for you. Is there a difference? Are you using different muscles or different writing techniques when you're not writing romance? Is there something inherent that you utilize every time you're writing romance that you feel like has become kind of good practice for you? Or do you feel like it's writing is writing no matter what you're doing?
When I wrote Hunting Woods with Angelique, we did originally have some steamy scenes in there that got cut because I
Mm,
realized it didn't fit the book.
mhm.
So I guess it's more of just trying to write what fits in with what I'm doing. If the co-write that we're taking our time with, the sci-fi one, ends up being romance, okay, cool. If not, then guess what? I'm not writing for it. I mean, there are different muscles you use when you're doing different things. I have started writing by hand at night because I don't do well focusing on the computer at night. So I
Uh-huh.
got this little notebook thingy here with sweary pens that Angelique got me. Um, but I take that in the bedroom while my husband's playing Final Fantasy, I'm handwriting. I know it's like archaic shit, right? But I can read it. I've worked in
Eh.
healthcare for over 20 years off and on. I can read almost any handwriting, including my own.
Yeah, that's a good skill set.
Yeah, right. The only thing is, in the morning, I absolutely hate myself because then I have to transcribe it all.
Yeah, yeah.
But I
Well,
found that
that's where you and AI may be merging, and
right.
that's a helpful tool in AI that can, help you out a little bit. But the only
Yeah,
thing about there's a double-edged sword with that, right? Because then you're teaching it, learning it, it's learning
yeah,
from you.
right,
But
right, right.
but
But
I'm sorry.
yeah, so that's kind of using a different part of my brain. And sometimes if I'm stuck a little, or if I'm on lunch break and I don't want to go to the cafe across the street, and use my Bluetooth keyboard, I'll write in the notebook. I've started bringing it
Mm.
to work in the ancient ways, huh? But it does activate a different part of the brain. If I'm stuck sometimes,
Mhm,
I'll get the notebook out and start writing, and it'll flow a little bit better.
mhm.
Or I can at least get past that block and get to a part where, okay, now the story's moving again.
I was, when I've told this before, but like when I go to the gym or like I have some kind of adrenaline surge or something, or I always find that my creative juices are flowing and I come up with something. And so I've gone to my phone now with the Keep Notes and Google Keep and dictated in there. But I've also I started to type a lot more than dictate because I wanted to get better at typing on my phone, and
Mhm.
it hasn't helped. My fat fingers just can't do it. So,
Bluetooth keyboard is great. You can get them even in full size where they fold up.
oh yeah, yeah.
But a Bluetooth keyboard, I can take this to the cafe. I can sit at the table and just write, and it can be the absolute filthiest stuff in the world, but nobody knows because nobody's reading my screen on my phone, right? And I
That's
can
awesome.
certainly do it with a straight face.
I'll have
Um,
to I'll have to look at those and maybe invest in something like that. But yeah,
I can't dictate. I feel that
yeah.
that is the most awkward shit in the world. Like,
I
I
I I
can
when I listen, I don't like listening to my own voice often, and but I've gotten used to that over the years, and that's kind of I've gotten past that. But I find that I'm more nonsensical than I really think I am, and I think I am nonsensical quite a bit. But I go, what the fuck was I thinking about when I said that, right? So that's why I wanted to type it. Then
Mhm,
I'll at least have the words in front of me, and then my brain will kind
mhm,
of process it better. So I have gone to handwriting too. I keep a notebook with me all the time and do that. The problem that I have with handwriting is that I'm getting older, and the longer I handwrite, the more my hand hurts. So
yeah, I've got RA in my hands, so
mm,
it's tough sometimes to try to get the words out when, you got the cramps in your hands or something. If I'm at
yeah,
a SCA event and it's cold, it's harder to write. But you do what you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah. But I mean, that's cool. I like that. I like that idea though. And yeah, transcribing sucks, but you got to do what you got to do when you're trying to create, right? So
Hmm.
that's where the ambition lies, right?
That's right.
To turn it all 180, 360 and come back to it. But
Mhm.
AJ, I really appreciate this. I always love our conversations. This is such a great opportunity for me to glean off of somebody who I know has done so well and done such great things and is always very great to talk to. So I really appreciate you taking the time to do this and be on the show again. And yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always great to come on here. It's always great. I always have a great time. Um,
So, so tell everybody where they can check out all your stuff for those who don't know and get these wonderful books that we see here.
you can find me at ajmullican.com. At ajmullican.com/author. You can find links to Facebook, Discord, I think, even all the things. Wherever I'm at, even if I'm not really there, TikTok, you can find me there. And
Or
if you
Discord.
or more Discord, right? But yeah, just click the links, follow me. I'm mostly on Facebook, but I am on Instagram too. I'm on other things. I just forget about them. That's all it is. I mean, there's email, author at ajmullican.com. You can email me. It's so strange. This could have been an email, but yes, it could have been because I have an email address.
Awesome. Yeah, everybody, go check all that out. And thank you, AJ, for being here. And thank you all for watching. And remember that it's always time to go any now. We got a lot of great stuff this week. So come and check us out for some more stuff. And we'll see you again soon. Bye, everybody.